Hi everybody, hope you all are doing well. Today we will be learning about hash maps and how to implement them in Python and Java. Hash maps are arguably the most versatile data structure and is mainly used in storing data, searching, and deleting. Now you might be wondering, how is a hash map any different from an array or a list? Well, let's first talk about what makes a hash map unique. So for every hash map, there's a key and a value pair. So for every key, there is a pair, or you could also call it a value. A value. All right. So every key is its very own variable, and every value is its very own variable. So the key and the value, because they have a very small correlation, in order to search through a key and to find the value is very quick. So it's very fast. In fact, it's O of 1 time, which, in case if you don't know time complexity, it means it's constant time, meaning regardless of if your dictionary is 100 rows or 1,000,000 rows, it will always have one constant time to search. Now, of course, the trade-off with this is that what's the trade-off? Is that if there is a small amount of key value pairs, then it will be less efficient. However, all programmers do suggest to use hash maps, especially during your coding interviews, because they are very quick. And oftentimes in competitive programming, it's also a very feasible idea because of how precious time is. Now, key values will always be declared. So for an example, in Java or even in Python, you first have to declare a hash map. And it's going to have a variable. So let's just call our variable variable. And around this point, every key value has to have a given type. So for an example, it could be a string and an integer. It could also be an array of integers. It can also be a string with a string. It can also be an integer with a string. It can also be an integer with an integer, but usually integers are not used. This is because it makes it a bit more complicated, and over there it's more effective to use an array or a list. Now, we can also nest hash maps within hash maps. This is, however, more common in Python as opposed to other languages. So let's continue on with this hash map variable example. So let's just change off the color. Let's suppose if I have a string and it's called phone number. Phone number. And its value will be my phone number. 90. All right. Now, this is a very good example of where hash maps can be used, because let's suppose if you have hundreds of different phone numbers, right? So you can store every single one of these here. So phone number, the first phone number is 123. Now let's suppose if you want to store a specific phone number, like Johnny's number. Johnny's number, which is 2349321. All right, and now let's suppose if I had to search it up later. So all I would just have to do is, so every language has this differently, but I'm just explaining it in pseudocode. So you would just go to the variable. So you would call your variable, and you would just tell the variable to search. So maybe I'd be .search, and you would just say whatever this variable is. Now, of course, this isn't a very realistic example. Now I will be showing you guys a more realistic approach as to where we use hash tables and hash maps. So a very good implementation of hash maps was created with JSON. JSON is Java's. I've actually made a video on JSON a bit, and the idea with JSON is relies on key value pairs, where your name has a value. So, like, let's suppose if I'm using JSON to read some data, right? So the name will always have a certain value. So like name is Tom, right? Another good example of this would be in databases like MongoDB as well as MySQL. But MongoDB is likely the more common one. That's because MongoDB is actually very similar to JSON. Another good example of this would be in Google search engine. Now, I don't entirely know how Google search engine works, but like most algorithms, they rely on key value pairs to help with the quickest search. If you are familiar with MySQL, SQL queries also, in fact, use a form of hash maps to search. Like if you were to do, like select blank from a table, right? From table 1. And let's suppose this table, right? So think about it for a second. So tables, right? Now the table has a value, has a key and a value, right? So let's suppose that this table has name and address. Okay, I shouldn't be using names so much, but just go with the flow here, please. All right, now let's suppose if I have Yasa, John, Tom, and Jerry. Now let's suppose if our values are 1, 2, 3, Sesame Street. All right, and let's just suppose Tom, John, and Jerry, they all have different values. I'm not gonna get into that. But if I go select Yasa from table 1, right? So instead of the asterisks, I select Yasa from table 1. Then what it's going to do is that it's going to search through this entire names column and find out where is the word Yasa located. And then it will return address. All right, and that's more or less how hash maps work. Now, if you're in Python, hash maps are known as dictionaries. It's pretty much the same thing. So today we'll be implementing. So let me first. So today we'll be implementing how to do them in Java and Python. So let's first start off with Java. Okay, so I'm in my Java editor over here. I just decided to use a Java editor because I don't want to have to constantly compile code each time there's an error. Okay. Right off the bat, you first of all need your java.util.hashmaps library. Now this is automatically provided to you by the Java when you install it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call a hash map. So just like how you were to call an int, so like int age is equal to 44. You do the exact same thing with hash maps. You're going to call a hash map. Then, remember how hash maps have a key value pair? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tell what type is going to be your key, and what type is going to be your value. So my type will be a string, and my value will simply be an integer. Yeah, an integer, okay? And next what we're going to do is we're going to name our value, or name our hash map. So we will simply just call this phone table. Phone table. And next what we're going to do is we're going to make a new hash map. Okay, let me explain to you what's happening here. So when the compiler reads this, the compiler first realizes to make a hash map with the values string as the key and integers as the value. The name of this will be phone table. And what's happening in this hash table is that we are first creating a hash table. Think of it like a chicken and egg situation where you kind of need one and the other at the same time. So let's just run this just to look at for any errors. And okay, this might take a while. Okay, I think that's an issue. Yeah, so yeah, nothing's happening here because we haven't done anything, right? So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to add to the hash table. So adding to hash table. So we will go phone table dot put, and so let's put in Yasa, and then we're gonna have to put in our number. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me think of something. 6 4 7 2 2 9 1 3 or 3 1 0 3. This isn't my real phone number, so please don't call this number because I don't want to disturb someone in the middle of the night. Okay, now what's left? Okay, the next thing what we're going to do is, oh yeah, we have to close this and write in a semicolon. Okay, now we can add some more data to this as well. But before that, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to print out, or let's first run this just to see if there's any errors. There is an error. Okay, what's the error? Integer, oh, integer is too large. Yeah, that's because okay, let's just take a smaller integer. Phone tab dot put, cannot find, oh, that's a spelling error. I missed Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now we're just going to wait for this to run, which it hopefully should run. Yeah, so nothing's happening here, right? So now we can print this out. So system.out.println, and we will print out the phone table. Okay. Now, as you can see over here, we will, okay, yeah, so we see Yasa, which is equal to 647. Now we can also replace the integer with other data types, but I'm not going to do that right now because, well, we don't really have that much time. Now let's actually add another, okay, Yasa, Tom, and Jerry. All right, now let's see what happens. As you can see, Yasa comes first, and it's kept onto my phone table. Then Tom comes next, or no. Yeah, so they have a way of ordering these. I believe it's alphabetically, or no, it's not alphabetically. I think it's like how, like, because Tom is only 3 letters long, and then comes Jerry, so I think that's how they organize it. All right, now let's suppose if I want to delete, right? Because you're gonna want to delete sometimes, right? Because so what you're gonna simply do is phone table. Oh yeah, wait, let me explain to you how deleting works. Let me actually just go back to the drawing board. Because all right, so let's suppose if I have a key value here, right? Like Yasa, which is equal to, and my phone number, which is 132, let's suppose. Now, in order to delete this, I need to tell the computer which key it is, and then where to delete it. So when I tell the key, the compiler takes the key, finds the index from the dictionary, and then just slashes it off. So let's try that. So we're going to do phone table dot remove, and it's simply just going to be YASA. And let's just print out the phone table right after this. There we go. See, so we have Tom and Jerry, and now YASA is completely gone. So this is a very, so I think this is a very good introduction as to how hash maps work. Now I will be working with Python. So if you're not into Python, you can simply log off, but all of you Python lovers can stay. So what's the first thing we need to do? Okay, we're just going to open up a Python editor here. So I'm just going to use online GDB. Okay. So using hash maps in, oh yeah, and they're not called hash maps in Python. They are called dictionaries. So first of all, what we're going to do is to initialize a dictionary, there's two things we need to do. First, we're going to call our dictionary. So let's call our phone table and set it equal to, and we can just leave it purely empty. Now, because Python has this concept of you can use different types of variables in the middle of a data structure, as seen in a string, we don't need to worry about talking about our initializing the type of data structures or data types allowed. We can simply just head right into it. So in order to tell or insert a value, we'll simply go phone table, and let's suppose if I want to write YASA's phone number. So YASA, and that's equal to, there, that's my phone number. And now we can just print out phone table. There we go. And now we get a very similar thing as seen in the Java editor. Now let's just add in another value. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't matter too much about which language you use. These coding phenomenons are the same, like entirely the same. It's just the way the syntax works is different. Now, the next thing what I'm going to do is show you guys how to delete a dictionary. In order to remove a key, we can simply use delete. So let's just delete from phone table. So it's just del, and we're going to do phone table and then the value of the key. So let's just say YASA. And then we'll just print out. Okay. So as seen here, there's YASA here, and then YASA is now gone. Now let's suppose if I want to search or see if it exists, like if YASA exists in this phone table, right? So what I can do is if YASA in phone table print this exists. Yeah, so it exists. Now another way we could also do this is using a try and catch method. So suppose if I go print print phone table. YASA. So right now it's going to phone table and finding the value of YASA. Let's suppose if I just not hash this out, I just comment it out, and let's suppose if I just run this. So yeah, it says here that there's a key error. So we will simply just use a try and catch. This is usually what try and accept key error print does not exist. So yeah, he just does not exist. So that's going to be the end of it for our video. Hash maps they might appear a bit tricky to you right now, but Yeah, they might appear a bit tricky right now, but they are arguably one of the best data structures to use and can help solve your problems and make your code exponentially faster. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe.